Hello, and welcome back to another Northwood Tales Spoopy podcast. Where today, it's depending on who you are, this could be spooky. Depending on who you are, this could be right up your alley, or you could take offense.
We're hitting all the marks today.
I guess a word, not a word, a note, a asterisk of caution. If we offend you, we are so sorry. But we're trying to be as, for a lot of it, stating points.
This
and
is
then based
our
off of
own beliefs.
Yeah.
It is not fact.
But
by any
there
means.
is some fact that we will be facting. But
in the big scheme of things, it's
the
a personal
overall
preference.
Yes. If you hate us because of this, that's fine.
I like to make people mad. Side note, because I like to pick up arguments with my family about politics around Christmas time. I'm that person.
You're an Aries.
I know. I am that person.
And I'm a Cancer. It's I'm a Cancer surrounded by fire. So
yeah, I got all three. My big three are fire signs.
Yeah, literally. Where I don't want to anger people. I don't want people to hate me, but I got strong opinions. Mm-hmm. But today we're talking about spirituality.
And what that means to us.
What it means to us, what the basic definition is, the different aspects of spirituality. If it be you just love the universe, or you have...
or if it's
if you're a part of an organized religion.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're a part of several, you can be a part of several. I'm not going to talk about Scientology because I don't want to. I don't know nothing about it. Only that
I haven't researched that one, and I don't really want to.
I don't want to. We're going to excluding that one thing.
Well, I'm sure we're excluding a lot.
Oh, I mean,
because I haven't researched a lot
every culture, and then every societal groups within that culture has a different belief system. So we're just going to kind of nitpick the biggest ones.
Yeah. They all kind of start at a base and then tree branch out from there. Yeah. Every religion kind of does that.
And we'll kind of get into that, but the basic definition of spirituality is you recognize a feeling or belief that there is something greater than oneself, and that there is more to being human, on this plane that we live on.
Yeah.
So that's the basic black and white of spirituality, is that you believe in a higher entity, or there's just it's not just us here.
Right, yeah.
In every sense of the term.
The only group that doesn't acknowledge that is just probably atheism.
Yeah. Where you're just a meat suit on a rock, just chilling, and that's it.
Which that's fine too.
I mean, if you're okay with that, great. If
that ends up being the thing, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
I'm gonna be very ticked, to be very honest. I'm gonna be ticked. Because I got questions. I want to have some conversations.
Right.
And I just feel like our world is too magical for it to just be nothing. Really. I mean, honestly.
Right? There's so many things.
Yeah.
And whether it's the human brain that's kind of orchestrating everything, or just weird stuff in general. Yeah. And now there's aliens in 2020 and 2021 now.
See, and I always knew that we weren't the only living thing in this.
How many galaxies are there?
Yeah. Oh, billions. I mean, that's the scary part.
We have no idea.
That's there's some aspects of how small we really are.
It's very presumptuous of us to think we're the only ones.
Yes. Yes. And I think having spiritual beliefs, I think, is honestly a good thing.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
Yes, and it can bring you comfort, and it can help kind of influence how you live your life.
Yeah.
As long as you are positive about those influences.
Right. I think most of them at the core are positive.
Yes.
Of you should treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is one of the basic
that is the golden rule.
Is that is there a specific Bible verse for that? But I know that's the one they taught us in Sunday school.
Yep. Just the golden rule.
Be nice to people.
Yeah.
And I think every religion organized religion has that at least at the core.
That's lovely. I think that's
Not
what
everybody
we need
abides
more
by
of.
it, but
I mean, how many times are we going to state that we are customer service?
right.
Not everyone treats people how they want to be treated.
Well, and even then, like I look back at like some things, I was like, I was a bitch.
Oh, right.
Like,
There are situations where I'm like, oh, I should not have reacted the way I did.
Yep.
But then there are also situations where I'm glad I reacted the way I did. Because when people are just blatantly rude to you, it's like sometimes you want to slap that in their face. Like, how would you want me to treat you?
Yeah.
How you just treated me?
I'll bring it right back.
Yeah, karma. But I love knowing and like believing that there is a higher power. Like
Of
for
some
me,
kind.
I was raised Lutheran. And I had a pastor growing up. He retired. He's still, from what I know, he's still here. But he was almost, the way he would give his sermons and like talk about everything, it was almost historical. Like it wasn't, you didn't feel like you were being like washed with the word of the Lord, but it was like, at this time, this person did this, and Jesus was hanging
It was more
out.
of like an educational thing,
and
less
it
of like
felt like you were in like a
scare tactic.
Yeah, it felt like you were just
got
in like a
stories.
history lecture. It was great, and I really miss just learning. Like, I don't need you to tell me, hey, if you sin, you go into hell. It's like, I don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
Because every single human being on this planet has sinned.
Yeah.
Every single
You
human
can't-
being.
No one can say they haven't.
Exactly. Every single human being on this planet has sinned.
Yeah.
So if that's the issue I have with some organized religions, but I try to keep it as, like, I try to just stay as spiritual as, like, being one with the universe. Like, I love the concept of, I'm just going to give it to the universe, and the universe is gonna help me out.
And I feel like that's what I feel, and I've learned more about it since like going into college, because I went to Lutheran, like a Lutheran church for a bit, and then I switched to, I don't know what sector of it, but it's still like a Christian church.
Oh yeah.
And I went to Sunday school and then youth group and stuff like that, and I went to like youth camps and stuff, and a lot of it was just more of like the uplifting part, which I like, but then they would use the scare tactics, like if you have sex, you're going to hell.
You're going to hell.
Like all that type of stuff. So that threw me
that's so
off.
disheartening because like how I was raised, it was none of that.
It depends on who's teaching it and who's organizing it. Yeah.
It was.
But my parents have never been. I sought this out myself because my parents were never like, we're going to church, we're doing this. So it was like me doing my own thing.
Yeah. I know my mom did not grow up going to church every day, and like, or not every day, but like every week, and doing stuff. But so that really brings her happiness and joy. Like she's very, like,
Some
we grew up
people
in
just go full force into it.
Exactly. So like she's probably one of the best examples for someone who is very religious, but like does not and will not push her opinions on.
Yeah.
So like that's an aspect that like keeps me from like hating the concept of organized religion.
It's always like it's like a 50-50 chance of like, it depends on what specific church you go to, not even just the sector. Yeah. But it goes down the line. Yeah. It starts at like the smaller portion of it.
But we also have to realize that I guess the concept of religion is ancient. It doesn't necessarily start, honestly, this is archaeologically speaking. Yeah. It doesn't start at Christianity. No. It starts more in the Asian and African.
Because they're the oldest colonized.
And there's some, I think it's
people.
It could be a little more Middle Eastern.
Even the Bible acknowledges before Christ, after Christ. And what is Asian is CE? Yes.
So they're BCE? Not. Yes, correct.
Before, what was it? Before?
It's before. I did a bunch of research on this. Common Era. Yep. I was doing so much research for 2 stories that I was writing on just like Common Era. So it's hard to explain because every continent really has their creator. Yep. So in North America, when the Native Americans were actually roaming this continent freely and not being oppressed by Europeans, they had their creator.
The English.
And that was literally called the creator. That is their creator, and it's not even like a religion, it's their lifestyle. So you wouldn't call a Native American religion, it's just a Native American lifestyle. Which I think that is the most fascinating out of like all cultures. I don't know a whole lot about religion, like the original practices of Africa, but I know enough of Asian where you have like in Japan it started off in Shinto, and in China you have Confucianism and Buddhism, more towards I guess Tibet and that area, even where Buddhists would travel to China, in like the Silk Road and whatnot. But what I think is really interesting, when Buddhism and Shinto were happening at the same time, Shinto recognized Buddha as Buddha is alongside Shinto gods.
Yep.
That is huge. You're taking two very different concepts and one is accepting the other.
Yeah. And that's crazy.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Because I took, I think it was just Middle Eastern history. And I don't think a lot of people know, like, the Quran and the Bible are very similar. Like, the Quran also...
Can you explain that?
Yeah, the Quran also acknowledges Jesus, but not as God's physical son. He's just a prophet. And then
And that's close to being Jewish.
Is that what they believe in too?
Yes.
Okay.
That he was just one of them, but he wasn't the Messiah.
Yes. So that's what the Quran also states too. And they say that Muhammad is the last prophet.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they believe. I don't think they believed anybody was the son of God, but Allah is God. Different name. Virtually the same guy up there. But there's a lot of correlations between those two books as well.
Yeah.
Which at least they who was it you said again?
The creator?
No, with Buddha and
Shinto. So Shinto
so
is like ancient Japan.
Them though.
Yeah.
Whereas like the people,
everyone
the
else is
Christian
like,
belief and the Muslim belief, they can't like connect.
Sad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure some people can.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of obviously
very strict
issues with like
we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
But I think it's really nice to, when you look at different cultures, there's a belief system going on, like,
Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah.
For the most part. I think
the biggest difference is in Buddhism. There was a really good line in the book. It's like this world religion book that my mom let me read. I'm gonna paraphrase this, so it's not exact, but I'm gonna get to the point with it. In Buddhism, the Buddha, was sitting there, and someone asked, "Are you God?" He's like, "No." "Are you a saint?" He's like, "No." "Well, then what are you?" And he's like, "I am awake." And that, I'm like, ooh, mic drop. I got so excited because the Buddha they're aware. Yeah. And they are one with everything, pretty much. It's not like, it's weird because they believe in reincarnation.
Yeah, and that's there's not, I don't think there's a lot of that in the other religions. It's more of like you're going to heaven or a higher place. Yes. Even like Norse, we'll just say mythology, but like their old belief system, you would go to Valhalla, or you'd go to I forget what the Lord, it's ruled by Hela.
Hell, it's hell. It's Hel.
Is it hell?
Yes, okay. But it's not like. Yes, I think it's just Hel for that one.
Yeah, but you rise to the higher place, and that's a very common theme in a lot of them. So the Buddhism is a little bit different that way. I love it, and I like that concept. I would like to believe that. Yeah, that you do come back, and you're like it's almost like you're constantly learning. Yeah. So then it goes a lot with like, we like to. Well, I don't know. Would you call it like witchcraft? Because we like to like dabble with crystals and stuff like that. And like they have vibrational energy.
Yep, and that's another aspect of spirituality is, I guess the concept of being like a hippie, minus the drugs.
Yeah.
Because I honestly don't think you need a substance to change your consciousness in order to practice or to.
But it kind of takes away the inhibitors is what I've come to realize, what a lot of people are kind of referring to when you take like mushrooms or like weed and stuff. It kind of brings the barriers down so you can see maybe a little bit more clearly.
I know a lot of people
like it makes
who
you
change.
Think. Oh.
A lot of people who really change, they do mushrooms.
Okay.
But I guess I changed, but by trauma. But
we don't need no drugs here to do.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We just have our trauma.
Oh.
But I think it's what religion has become today is a lot more self-centered.
Yeah.
Which is so scary because back then I don't think it, at least in Asian cultures, because I'm studying more Asian history, it just seems very much I'm gonna practice this lifestyle. This is what I believe. It's very peaceful, even though the Asian culture they kind of keep to themselves, aside them having crazy wars with one another.
Yeah.
But it was never like fighting because, well, my Shinto god says this, so I'm gonna fight the Buddhists. Like, no, that's not how it happens.
Wasn't it territorial?
Yes.
More land.
They just wanted more land.
Ownership.
Yeah. Yep. Which is understandable. I mean, in some aspects, I feel like you don't have to hurt people in order to get what you want. But that's just my mindset.
Right.
But today, the concept of religion, I think, has, in the past 4 years, religion has really been tested.
Yeah.
Because of a certain someone in the administration in America.
Even before, it's been more prominent.
It came
the
to
last
light.
4 years. Yeah.
It came to light. So a lot
more so than it has in the past, because there's always been like the radicalists.
Oh yeah, every culture has a group that is pushing the boundaries and just plowed. They cross the line.
Yeah. Plenty of times.
Where you take something a little too seriously and you don't let your logical part of your brain stay ahead.
Yeah.
You just kind of go full force, which is also kind of scary. But I'm going to name drop some religious groups, I guess you could say, but being Catholic, they're so conservative and they don't allow certain people to have rights because that's how it's always been. And I have such an issue with that.
It's very black and white.
It's so black and white, and the world is not black and white. There's some situations that you kind of have to see in black and white just to be like, well, you're good or bad. Like, really.
Right, that's the big one. Good versus like, evil sort of thing.
If you're hurting someone based off of what they look like, that's not right. That is very wrong. And, if you're taking away basic human rights of someone because your God said so, that's not right. Because who's to say that the person you worship is the be all end all? Because every single culture has a different God.
Yeah.
And what I have an issue with is, why do we call it Norse mythology or Indian mythology?
We were just talking
Asian
about this
mythology. We went to Half Price Books, which is a great bookstore if you're in the Twin Cities area.
I think they have them everywhere, I think.
Go to a Half Price Book. Support bookstores. But in a certain shelf, it's called mythology. And it's basic world religions. And it's kind of... I feel like it's disrespectful. Especially when people practice the Norse lifestyle.
Still do, yeah. And I'm not sure if that's technically pagan.
Well, even
or if that's
like
the
Greek.
newer...
Like in high school, we had a Greek mythology section. Like even if you play the video game God of War, they talk about Greek mythology. But in some aspects, people truly believe in Zeus. They truly believe in Athena. So who are we to say that they're not real?
Right.
I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, so online they're calling it Old Norse religion or Norse paganism.
Okay.
So it's...
I know my mom had, because I brought this up to her a while ago. I don't remember when, but she said, God comes down in the version that you need. And I thought that was really nice. Because, so many different religions have the same story. So what if he just be bebopping down, showing a form that people need?
Yes.
That's a concept.
That also reminds me of the ancient aliens
we
watched. Or it's aliens that are coming down to us.
We have we're going to have a whole podcast on that.
No, I like your mother's better. It's not aliens. It's the higher power. It's the creator.
It's like he's going to come down and show himself how this specific culture needs to see him. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really nice in a way, but it's still kind of, it all excludes Buddhism.
Right. They're just something a little bit different over there. But I like it.
So at peace. If you talk to anyone who practices real Buddhism, or if you talk to a monk, when you say like, oh, are you this, are you that, they always say, I'm a monk. Mm-hmm. They don't, it's like that is their title.
Yeah. And
they have like no belongings. They have like their appearance is as bare bones as it can be, and they are happy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, to be able to have nothing and be the happiest person in the world,
right?
Like that's insane.
And I think like we've been corrupted in that sense because of societal norms. Yeah,
our country like that is the worst at consumerism.
Because because churches don't pay taxes and stuff. A lot of people use their money for good and like going to countries that let's build shelters for people, let's bring food and stuff like that. But other churches,
and that stems down to the bad eggs that, because of this administration, is coming to light, and we're really seeing that there are some people who are making Christianity look bad, and that's not the good Christians' fault.
They're treating it like a business in some aspects.
Yes. I mean, they're building these huge mega churches that are costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions, to get all these people and tell them that it's this way or nothing else, and they give all this money, and it just makes me angry.
Because you could be helping people with the donations,
real people,
donations that you're getting,
and they don't, because
it's good to keep everything up to date in your church.
Yeah, I think
to build these big facilities that you don't necessarily need.
Mm-hmm. I think if this is just my personal opinion, alert, this is my personal opinion.
Ding, ding, ding.
If you're on a stage and you have a headpiece and you're walking back and forth telling the quote unquote good news, and you're like, this is the only thing we can do, this is the only way we can be, throw your hands up in the air. Mm-hmm. And you have all these special lightings, and you have this fancy band, and you got a DJ in the middle, doing all the sound.
Yeah.
I think you're in it for the wrong reason.
When it's too much of that. I mean,
I grew up in a tiny church.
Yeah. Ours was a small town.
We were able to get money to build on because we had too many people. But at least in our church, it was you come in, you sing a couple songs, you listen to the sermon, you leave. You know, it wasn't, and I don't like singing. I wish I could just show up, listen to the sermon, and that was it.
Sometimes I just can't get into it because my church was basically the same. I never went on Sundays. It was always youth group on Wednesdays. So it was a little bit more we do a little,
and I never did
fun thing.
I never did the fun things.
And then we go back into the I don't even know what it's called anymore. The altar room.
No.
Yeah.
You had the fellowship hall, and then
then we had a rec room or something. And we're like, let's play dodgeball, kids.
Oh wow!
But I went. My church camp was in Alexandria, and we did it was almost like a summer camp mixed with sprinkle a little bit of God in there. But we would always have at nights we would do the serious serious talk Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh.
Another thing.
We got story time?
Yeah. Well,
alert.
Every year we go there, we have the initial meeting, and they're this is what this week's gonna be like, but this is gonna be so much fun. And then they're okay, have the boys leave. Go to your cabins, or go hang out outside. Ladies, stay. You wanna know what they told us?
Am I gonna get mad?
There was the helmet, whatever, the 4 B's or something. Your boobs, your butt, your belly, and or maybe it was the 3 B's. You have to keep them covered. only one-piece bathing suits, or you had to wear a t-shirt on your bikini. And they're like, you can't show skin. And like, it's like the spaghetti strap rule in high school. Like that, I was like...
This is what infuriates me.
I'm like, I already have like body dysmorphia, so this is fine. I'm going to wear a t-shirt anyway. Yeah. But like, when I think back to it, I was like, really? I'm that tempting that I'm going to like cause a boy.
That's...
Like,
there's such...
to be distracted by my body so he can't worship God.
There's such sexism. Just even in like, I couldn't... This was a long time ago.
I don't like to be suppressed.
I couldn't get a job at a certain place during the summertime because I was a woman. And that I would, quote unquote, distract the men that would be working there. I'm like, then maybe you have shitty employees.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be looking at girls to begin with, and that's a problem.
Now that I'm like thinking back though, like that's the thing that I was like, really?
Yeah.
But like it was a lot of fun. But then we'd have that conversation.
How about they say, ladies, go to your cabin. Men, how about you don't be nasty?
Yeah.
Or I'll sucker punch you in the throat.
It's like, I've gone through like a journey of like, I found this mostly because my friends were going, but like I found this religion, but I've gradually like...
Oh, you change over time.
I've grown and pulled away from it. There's still aspects that I still believe in, but like... The organized religion thing just throws me off a little bit. And so I've learned more about others, and I've kind of like pulled from different ones. So I'm not... That's why I just say I'm spiritual.
Yes.
So I don't really...
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Follow any like concrete religions.
And we also have to remember the Bible, as it was originally written, was... hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Who knows how many times
you gotta remember
been transcribed?
Exactly. Like, and plus, the language that it was written in is, I wonder if it's considered a dead language because
it wasn't Latin, was it? No,
no, it's not Latin. But what is that, like 2,000 years? 2020. It's 2021. So you gotta do the math.
After death, right?
Yes.
So it's
still like the Bible was written at such a year.
You think it's someone who would be keeping track of it though during his upbringing and stuff, maybe?
I mean, I'm sure, but you have to remember when it was written, and especially if it's a dead language. Not saying it is. I mean, we're probably going to look it up. It can be translated wrong. Not saying that the whole thing is wrong, but there's different aspects that could have been taken out of context because of how old it is.
Classical Hebrew?
Oh, pretty.
Archaic form of Hebrew.
It's such a pretty written language.
Like an old Hebrew.
So hopefully there's still people who can speak Hebrew. It and translate it. But even, like, so prime example. There are certain languages that have words for things that we, as, like, even English, that aren't words. Like, there could be words that we misinterpreted just because their meaning for a word is different.
It's changed. Like, gay used to mean happy.
Exactly. Well,
when did it become a bad thing?
Republican back in the 1800s was essentially democratic.
Yeah, they've switched.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
and not a lot of
things
people
don't
know
mean a lot like they used to. It's weird.
It's all about education. And then, like, in the English language, we have so many words that are like a double meaning.
Right. Would and would.
Yeah.
Would you go get the wood, please?
Yeah.
For their party at their house.
Yeah.
Languages, as beautiful as they are, can be misinterpreted.
Why did the English come up with this language? Because it is the hardest to learn.
I mean, why did they think that coming over to America to enslave people who didn't speak their language?
It's an ego thing.
You know? Yeah. And I think that's where some religions are stemming from, which is really dangerous. If you're taking something that you believe in and you're forcing it on someone else.
That's the thing, is forcefulness. I'm okay if you educate me on, like, what you believe in, but, like, don't force me to also,
don't
like,
say, well, you're going to hell because you believe this.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, because
I haven't physically hurt someone.
Yeah.
I'm not, I didn't kill anyone. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
So.
And there's been, I don't remember what religion, they were Christian, but again, it was a different branch. But I remember... And I think it was like friend of a friend or like somebody that they were like, well, yeah, like if you sin, like you can always pray and your sins are gone.
Oh, that's like the confession booth in a Catholic church.
So maybe I don't think they weren't Catholic though, but they believe you can like still do good and get rid of your sins and still go to heaven even if you have
That's like Lutheran.
Sinned.
You can sin, but as long as you admit it and you try to do better, that you can be forgiven.
But I remember when I was younger and they were like saying that, I was like, they never taught me this.
Right? Yeah. People use it because they realize that they can not so much profit money wise, but they can profit off of your entity.
Vulnerability.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I was young.
That's why I have such an issue with the crazy evangelicals who are saying that Trump is the next coming of God. I'm like, no, he's not.
I've said he's the Antichrist before.
Literally, so. he is the definition of evil. And
he is so egotistical.
There's so many words that you can use to describe that man.
Yeah.
But it's just disheartening.
Mr. Cheesy Cheeto Dust.
I can't wait till Joe is in office because he is he goes to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's nice about explaining his religion, the fact that he goes to church. Like he doesn't use it, he doesn't
for a publicity photo.
Exactly. And
I don't think Trump is religious.
No, he's not.
He's a narcissist.
And it's disheartening when certain branches of Christianity are pushing this narrative that Trump is so good and that he's the fact that someone who says that they are religious said that Trump is the next coming of God, when in the Bible it says, beware of false.
Mm-hmm. Beware of false prophets.
Exactly. It's like you have just become a hypocrite.
Even though he's not prophesizing anything, but he's still like, I'm the leader. Yeah.
And he's knows
almost like creating a cult of the Trump cult.
The Trumpers.
That's what we call them.
And there's such a danger to the beauty that religion can be that you see in Hinduism and Buddhism and Confucianism. And it's disheartening because people here, at least in this country, like I've been asked several times, because it's usually to insult people who worship Trump, but they'll ask like, oh, are you religious? Because otherwise I won't say anything. It's like, I am religious. However, if like
there's so many,
you can't insult me.
Yeah.
Like you really can't, like when it comes to religion, because it is so huge and it like there's so many aspects of it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sad when you have to be careful about, like, if this person says, like, oh, I'm very religious, that usually means that they're conservatives.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, come on.
Isn't that a whole nother thing, too? Like, no one can actually speak. Like, he'll talk to you.
I mean, he can. I think it's more of, like, if you feel... And it could just be like your gut reaction, which ties in the universe. It's if you have a feeling like, oh, I have intuition. This. Yeah. Like, I have this feeling that I want to do this. You can interpret that as God. You can interpret that as the universe is telling you to do something.
Direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like he's not physically like.
He's not in your eardrum saying, "Hey,
Pastor Thompson, this is bad. Nip it in the bud." Like
right. But I guess with the Pope, where he is kind of the next line, like he is kind of that telephone to God.
And that's just for the Catholic religion.
Yes.
Yep. Sector.
Yep. But he is the best Pope we've ever had in the line of popes, because he is so open-minded to...
He's progressive.
He's extremely progressive. He's open to the LGBTQIA community, which you don't see that in the Catholic or evangelical religion.
I've heard, again, with the translation of the Bible, I've heard so many times that they never used the word homosexual was created in the 50s or something like that.
Yep.
Before that, like there wasn't such a thing. And in the Bible, they wouldn't have even used the word homosexual. No. But they were talking when a man lays with a man, it was a man laying with a boy as like pedophilia.
Yes.
So I'm like, you can't even use that verse to justify your aggression towards people who love whoever they want to love.
They just want to live their life.
Yeah.
And that's so disheartening. And that's another reason that is making the term religion look bad.
Yeah.
So like when you hear the word religion in America, it's usually mentioning like Catholic
Christian,
crazy evangelicals.
Yep.
The ones who take it slightly or very much over the top.
Mm-hmm. That's the same with like people who are like saying a Muslim or something like that.
Yeah.
People automatically think like terrorism.
Yeah. I'm like,
and
no.
all that stuff. No.
If it wasn't for them, I mean, you have to remember what location they're in.
Yeah.
Like geographically, isn't that where Jesus is from?
Mm-hmm. Like Jerusalem and stuff over
yeah.
in that area, Israel.
Yeah. It blows my mind how conservatives are. Not every single conservative.
Why is it about skin color all the time?
Skin color and sexual identity and gender.
Yeah.
So like women must stay in the house, listen to their husband, have kids, and that's it.
That's in a lot of religions too.
Yeah, and it's kind of annoying because especially in the year 2021,
yeah, it's still
women
prevalent.
Outpopulate men in our planet.
Maybe by like what is it, 51 to 49 or something. It's
so
not a big margin,
not a lot, but it's enough to be like, we outnumber you.
I'm gonna take over the world.
Yeah.
We're switching the patriarchy to the matriarchy.
Yes. But it's.
And that's always interesting because like for like pagan and like Norse, I've been getting really into that because I have Swedish and Finnish ancestors. Not so much like Norwegian, which is that, and like the Danes and Denmark and stuff like that is probably where it started. But mine origins kind of branch from that. But like they were almost created as equals.
Yes.
Like the women, they could choose to divorce the man if she's like, I don't know. He's not, no, he's not a good husband.
He's
Goodbye.
stupid.
And they were like
warriors.
Gifted a sword on their wedding day to protect the house, her house. Yeah. Because they both owned it. They both owned property. They still probably married for like, I think family connections and whatnot. Same with like the English. But
there was more equality involved.
And the women were the ones who handled the finances because it was witches' work or like it was magic. Men didn't touch the magic. Like there's so many like cool things about that I'm just like, why can't everybody else just see us all as equals? Is it because Adam came before Eve in the Christian Bible? Is that like the superiority complex? I was first.
But we took his rib.
Right.
We're gonna beat him with it. And I don't know,
because I'm the eldest sibling,
know how I feel
and I don't
about
have a seniority
part.
Complex for the most part over my siblings. If like they're better at something than me, like go for it.
I mean,
like,
everyone. There's always every single person is better at something than everyone else. Like there's
always someone prettier, smarter, more athletic. It just happens.
Well, and then you could be one of those too. Like, you know, like. So I don't know why we have to judge people.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just how I was raised, that it's like, don't judge people. Don't, you know. And that's why I don't like how, like when you say that you're spiritual, a lot of people think that, okay, you're a acid dropping hippie. It's like, no. I believe in the powers of the universe.
I just don't have a label for it, so that's why I just encompass it as like I'm spiritual.
Like I do believe in God. I think, you know, it's especially, I mean, there's historical proof.
Yeah, the more I learn, I don't necessarily want to call him God, but like the creator. Yeah. Like there is a higher. Yes. But like just because like my journey through religion has just
not necessarily been positive.
No.
Which, I mean, that's almost the entire LGBTQ community can say the same.
Well, and like what you say about your church and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we're very chill. We're super chill. Better. You show up, you sit down, you sing with people, and it's just like one lady on the piano, everyone's singing. We got a new pastor, so it's not as busy and like packed. So
I'm sure they're used to a certain way too.
Yeah, so it's traditional in the aspect of you come in, you sit, you sing, you listen to the sermon,
Because like I still listen to like Christian rock bands.
Oh,
I still love them because they have a positive message.
Yes. Yep.
Like it doesn't have to be like, yes, I'm praising Jesus, praising God, but it's like you're like you're overcoming something.
Yes.
You're going through struggles and you're overcoming. And so it's like a positive thing.
Yeah. And everyone can kind of, when you go through something traumatic, or if you're just going through it and you need something, you know, that is depending on who you go to, it can be a very healthy outlet. Yep. And but you have to make sure that you know, you go through a healthy, safe person within, you know, because if you get caught into the mega church,
and that's a key factor.
You're gonna drop a couple $1,000s in their donation box, and then, you know.
Yeah, because I've only read through one, but I bought all 3 books by Lacey Sturm. And she's the lead singer of Flyleaf, if anybody's listening.
Which is a screamo band.
It's a Christian rock is the genre.
But like
she's brilliant. But
she screams her love for Jesus.
She wrote the book, or like her life story, basically her struggle she's went through. She's been married, divorced, going through a rough patch, and like that's how she found God. Yeah. With, you know, a good church and stuff, and now like going through that, she met her husband because of like I think a friend, and he was in another Christian band when they met, and that was like the connection. So they're both very religious and they're both solid in that sense. Yeah. So it's like just hearing her story, it's like you understand, you get it. It's like worked positively, and it just, you know, it just works for her. Yeah, which is great. And
we're not to say that religion is a bad thing. It is a very good thing. Yeah. But it's certain people.
It helps people cope with this world, life,
with being alive.
It's hard.
But there are certain people who have taken it and have really demonized it, really.
What are the rich white people?
Exactly. And it's so disheartening because you almost don't want to say that you're religious in public because people right now assume, oh, you're conservative.
Yeah, religious and spirituality, they're like, what is religion? Like, what is the definition? Because you read the spirituality. Yeah,
religion is just
relating or believing in a religion is just religious.
Yeah. So spirituality is the recognizing a feeling or belief that there is something greater than oneself.
So it's not the same, but they correlate.
Well, I mean, religion is believing in something greater than yourself, but you're pinpointing it to an entity, I guess you could say. A specific
kind of group of rules, almost. Yeah. A specific, like...
Yeah, morals,
facts, in a way. Like, this is this and this is this.
Yeah, which
whereas
also
spirituality is more fluid.
Yeah, I think, and that's what's really pretty, or not pretty, but, like, calming about, was it Wiccan? Not some, or Wiccan or pagan, where you're literally just worshipping nature.
It's a version of, I think, paganism.
Okay.
I think Wicca's a little bit different.
Then do pagan.
Because Wiccans and pagans are different.
Yeah. I don't know which ones. Because they're kind of in the same realm.
Because I know, again, when I was researching, like... Yeah.
They respect each other.
In Finland, like, their version of paganism is very similar to that. It's very nature-based. Similar to probably the Native Americans and the tribes and stuff like that.
Like, they have their creator, but, you know, they have, like, trickster and all that. But you're worshiping what
I guess Wicca's nature worship, too.
It's like you're worshiping what nature and the planet has given you. Like, you're worshiping the sun, you're worshiping the moon, you're worshiping the tide. Yeah. And I think that's very sweet and very kind of calming in a way, because you're just being thankful for what this planet has given you.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess Wiccans, it's kind of similar to paganism, but with everything, there's always differences.
I don't know. I think it's kind of some of the Native American mixed with a little Buddhism, as I keep mentioning Buddhism, but it's just, you're just awake and you're aware and you're more full of gratitude. Yeah. There's no ego. I wish all the time that I didn't have an ego. Like, when I realize that I'm having an ego, I'm like, stop it.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, you've been raised, not even, like, by your parents or whatever, but society has raised you a certain way.
Yep, our society is not helping.
Do. Like, it's okay to be this way, it's fine, but like, there's plenty of people are just
go to school, get the best grades, and then go to college, get your degree, and then find the best job, and then work your way up to the top. Make a lot of money. And I have such an issue with the fact that our country only cares about money. That is one thing that I always have an issue with.
Yeah. And that's the only way to survive, though.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
You can't survive off of nothing. Because no matter what, even if you're just a nomad, you still have to pay taxes if you're
They
chilling.
gave you that number. They'll hunt you down.
Yep.
You owe me money.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Like, take my chicken.
Take my chicken.
Here's my payment. Oh.
That's why I'll always...
It's been that way for so long, though. Like, that's how the kings and queens ruled, was with their money to buy their armies. And...
and it's... You gotta think, like, with the kings and queens, they always had a cardinal who was a religious figure right alongside them.
Yeah, so, whether it was...
there's a lot of
Catholic,
stories...
Or whether it was... what was it, Catholic and Protestant?
Oh.
So there's different ones.
Yeah.
Because there was a whole thing, I was watching a Netflix series, but like they were worried that like Queen Elizabeth was friends with like the Protestants. They're going to change everything over to that religion. Like the Catholics are effed.
Well, that was in the TV, obviously this is a TV show, but in Vikings, they were afraid of the Europeans, I guess, what do they call them? But they were afraid that they were going to... Well,
the Anglo-Saxon?
Or the Danes. The Vikings were afraid of them bringing Christianity over and just like forcing Christianity on them.
Well, and the Danes pillaged. So they were also conquering parts of England, but then England's like, we're going to conquer you and change your religion.
Yeah.
So the Anglo-Saxons, that was that era. That was them. And I'm playing Valhalla, Assassin's Creed, and they're also talking about that too. But I've watched TV series that have also touched on that. It's like they want to change their beliefs. Both of them are like, well, we don't want to give it up, but then they're going to kill us because we don't want to give it up.
And that's why it's like, why is it so bad that every culture, why is it a bad thing that they have their own religion and lifestyle? Yeah. Like, why can't we celebrate that?
Right.
And then find similarities instead of finding all these differences.
Right.
Like, why is that so difficult for people?
I don't know.
Because at the end of the day, almost every religion has a similarity.
And you try to explain that to people and they get all huffy.
Yes.
And
they get so mad.
Yeah. And I'm like, why? I'm not trying to like...
I'm not saying your God is bad.
Yeah.
My God is most likely the same as yours. I just hope mine is a little more nice.
Right? Yeah.
I like to think that my God is more understanding because in the grand scheme of things, if he created us, then he should know that we're more complex.
Yeah. Well, that was another thing too. Well, it's like, well, why would God want to punish me for like, if you don't follow these rules?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sending you down with Lucifer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I thought God was supposed to be like all loving and all this, but he can like, if he gets mad, he's like
that's what
Odin
I don't understand.
Thor striking his
it's like
the thunderbolt down on you. It's the
fear.
Yeah.
It's like if you sin, he's going to be mad, but he still loves you.
Right.
But like if you sin, he's going to smite.
That was
but
so
like,
conflicting to me when I was younger. I was like, that doesn't make
any sense. That's me growing up too.
Like,
I don't understand
I'll
why.
I love you, but don't do this.
I love you, but
if you're gay,
I'm going to beat you.
No. If I love you,
I'm going to send you down to hell.
But if you have sex before marriage, no.
No, especially but if you were raped, that's still bad. That's your fault.
That's your fault.
Because you're a woman.
Yeah. That's
right?
I will not be stifled. I will not be controlled.
Yeah. But there's some good. But I think the way humans are, there's a lot of bad. Yeah. But there is still good in
us as a race.
Us as a human race have really ruined good things.
Yeah.
Something that can be uplifting and can give someone purpose has been used to erase cultures and erase identity. Yeah. Not all of it's bad.
No.
But there's,
But there's people that just sour it.
Yes.
For everybody.
Yeah.
For any and all religions.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's been a not so good monk.
Yeah.
it's called being human.
We just probably hear, well, I think Christianity is probably
the most problematic,
biggest,
really.
Well, but it's the bigger percentile too
yes.
now.
Oh,
because they've conquered.
Exactly.
But like we hear more about it, about like the Catholics and
well, that's China. Like a lot of Asian areas are turning Christian. Mm-hmm. When their whole culture leading up to that has been Confucianism, Taoism, right? Taoism? I could be wrong. But you have all these, it's, you are allowed to believe in what you want. You are allowed to change partway through. You know, you can believe in something, move to something else and go back. You are a human. You are allowed to change. Just don't push your views on other people.
Yep.
Because that's just you're gonna have less friends and you're not gonna be seen as very nice.
Mm-hmm. So let's see, I'm pulling up the good old wiki, which is probably inaccurate, but this is based back in 2010. Christianity made up 31.5% of the whole world's like religious population, followed by Islam, 23.2. There was a bunch that were unaffiliated, so I'm assuming that's like spiritual. Like you're unaffiliated. Yep. 16.3, followed by Hinduism, which is 15, and then Buddhism, 7.1. And then there's folk religions and other religions, and that was like maybe 7% total. I'm not sure if it elaborates on that.
That's interesting.
Let's see.
I mean, even if like the non-affiliate or whatnot being like...
Okay, so secular, non-religious, agnostic, and atheist was the 15.6% is what they lumped it into.
That's surprising.
So that's the unaffiliated.
Okay.
And I think Chinese traditional religion, I wonder if that's the one that's under folk. That's 5%. And then they have one that's just categorized as ethnic religions.
Yeah.
Then there's a bunch at the bottom.
Well, and it's interesting that they don't necessarily mention, and that's hard to
Shinto has a 0.05%.
Oh.
But yes, majority is Christian. It's not 50, but it's like up there. It's
I'm surprised they weren't able to get a percentage of just people who are spiritual.
Right, that was a weird category. Maybe I can find something else here too.
But just people who believe in the powers of the universe and that we all came from stardust, because technically, I think scientifically, we are made of the same stuff that
the universe.
Yeah.
That would
stars.
make the most sense.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of cool, but also just overwhelming to think that we're all made out of stardust. Because generational, it's just like smaller percentage of stardust each time. But I don't know. I love thinking, it's just the power of the universe. The universe is gonna guide me. But that, it could just be God telling the universe to guide you.
Right.
Like God is like, I'm busy. The universe,
we'll
you
never
guide
know.
These people.
Who even knows if we find out when we die,
That's why I'm going to be ticked if we don't.
Yeah. So it's like, do you find out?
We better.
But like, that's the big question that I think people they want a solid answer for. And that's what religion is
it
for.
Helps. Yeah. It's
to give you that answer, to give you that comfort.
Yeah. So. I think that's why it's important. But just don't use it to scare people.
Right.
And to group people into, like, I have to do this and that. And, like, I don't think you should ever have to live in fear.
No.
Like, you got to live your life. You got to be happy.
There's there's so many things out there that's going to kill you.
We got COVID to worry about.
We got COVID. We got cars. We got airplanes.
Don't get me started on it.
We got wild animals out here. They're gonna hurt us. There's so many things. We got men that want to hurt us.
Right?
Like
what's scarier? An angry pastor or a man hiding in the bushes?
Yeah, I'll take my chances with the pastor.
Yeah, right?
My gosh.
But, I mean, I hope our opinions weren't too drastic.
Yeah, I don't think they were, but that's because
there are I know it's tough to have this conversation.
Yeah, but we for the most part see eye to eye on everything.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Yeah, I'd say we're like 97%.
Sometimes I get a little feisty. I just gotta pull back.
Well, you get feisty at the racist.
I just get angry
anti-women rights people.
Yeah. Don't stifle me.
Yeah. The people who use
Don't
their
tell me
beliefs,
what to do.
Yeah. To make us into handmaidens. I'll throw fists.
Oh my gosh.
I will throw fists.
This is why I bought a bow.
Yeah, we got bows. We got tactical shovels.
You want to try to take me
taser.
away to birth babies for you? And even like, I like reading religious texts or even the air quotes mythologies. So
I hate that it's not mythology.
But it's so interesting to read that stuff though.
I wish the word mythology wasn't created because real people believe in quote unquote different mythologies.
Right? It's still prevalent.
Yeah. So like I just get so mad when there's mythology after a cultural religion.
Yeah. It's the definition.
Because you never see Christian mythology. Mm-hmm. But every other one, except like Islam, has mythology. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
So the definition, and I don't know, because mythology isn't that the study of myths, but a collection of myths, especially ones belonging to a particular religious or cultural tradition. So it's like, but why do we call it a myth?
Yeah,
then
because we know what a myth is.
Yeah, so you're invalidating them.
Yeah, which is disrespectful.
Like your Christian mythology.
Yeah,
like,
right. It's like you would never hear that, and you would piss off a lot of people. I just wish there was more love involved. Mm-hmm. Like if people,
which there should be,
lose your ego. Like shut that down because it's just hurting people.
One of the main things though that they still teach you though is to like be accepting, be this, but then they're like, but not if they're
and then ego comes in.
Yeah. Not if they're like a prostitute or gay or like what is like a harlot or whatever.
If they're not like us, they're bad.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, no. That's our rant.
Yes.
That's our rant. I'm sorry if you got offended.
I'm not.
But let's have a conversation again.
Right? Yeah.
Let us know.
Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how.
In the comments down below.
If you're watching this
wherever
on YouTube.
you can,
You can't leave comments on Spotify or Apple.
That's all right.
iTunes.
If you're
Find us somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we got a Patreon.
Yes.
You go to our Patreon.
Just
we
the
can
the Northwood Tales. Yeah, I think is just what it's
we
under.
can have
Maybe
a conversation there. Too. I love having a good, like, cordial conversation about stuff. But we will leave you with that. Right?
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
And we'll see you again next week.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.